I was shocked when the Colts fired Frank Reich. It made no sense to me because when Jim Irsay stepped in and had Reich bench Matt Ryan, I said to myself, clearly, since it was Irsay's move, this is his way of assuring Reich his job past this season, but it's a compromise where Reich has to accept, all right, we're going to bench my quarterback that I kind of I wanted him to come in, and then I get to have some job security. But clearly, that's not the case here because Frank Reich is now no longer the Colts head coach after two disappointing seasons back to back. And now Jeff Saturday is the Colts' newest interim head coach. BCAP, you're saying he was in first take last time you saw him, right? He's been coaching a little bit of high school football as well in Atlanta. What on earth is going on in Indianapolis? Is this just Tank City? Like, this might be the worst team in football.
Yeah, I think they're looking to greener pastures later down the line. I think their whole thing is the future right now. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Jonathan Taylor either gets shut down for the season or gets a very low work rate. We already know Matt Ryan's not going to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. So yeah, they're in full tank mode, to be honest with you. And I mean, and this is coming from a guy, and I believe we all actually had. No, John had the Titans winning the division. I don't know if he had the Colts making the playoffs though, but me and Justin, I believe, had the Colts winning the division and making the playoffs this year before the season. And even you know, kind of foreshadowing for the later on in the episode, I had Frank Reich winning Coach of the Year this year for my preseason prediction. Boy, was I wrong because now he's not even coaching for the NFL anymore.
BCAP, you're not alone,
I know. Oh, you picked him too?
sadly.
Oh yeah. So we're both in that same boat. But it's all right. For the Colts, I mean Jeff Saturday. What I didn't talk about a shocker. I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. A lot of outrage about it, and I understand why. It's the same reasons Steve Nash got a job, and a lot of people are outraged by that. Listen, he's got a shot, 8 games to see what he can do, and I'm pretty sure he even said himself, "This isn't just me showing myself to one team. I'm basically broadcasting myself to the 31 other teams. This is kind of like a job interview, kind of, but on the job. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, they got the Raiders next week in Las Vegas. The Vegas Raiders have freaking blown a talk about. I mean, we talk about Baltimore blowing leads. Vegas, I believe, is leading. I think they've blown the most 17-point leads uh, in the history of the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, down, down, down. Uh,
Belichick's
yeah,
keeping that offensive coordinator role nice and warm for him. Our boy
I
Josh.
wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it. Let me hear what you got to say, Justin.
Honestly, I'm super disappointed at the hire. I'm super disappointed in the Colts season in general. I think going into the season, I remember putting the Colts as my number 5 team. This was a team that everybody did think was a quarterback away. And while I wasn't the biggest believer in Matt Ryan, I did think if they can get to the playoffs with Philip Rivers, they can most definitely get there with Matt Ryan. Why not? They still have a great team. Obviously, they were just missing some weapons on the outside of Michael Pittman, but you still had Jonathan Taylor. You had a very good defense, and you had a very top notch O line, I would say. And then all of a sudden, everything just seemed to go down bad for this Colts team. Quentin Nelson is turning into a turnstile. He's not the same O lineman that we knew him to be just last season and the year before that. I think this is just a very odd move. And then you go out there and then you bring in Jeff Saturday, who is not even on the coaching staff. This is a move unlike any other. It's really strange to me where this Colts organization is going. And I'm not going to say I don't know if Jeff Saturday's qualified for the job. I mean, from what I heard, what I read, his high school record was 3-7. So why is he your head coach? And Brandon, you mentioned Steve Nash, and that's a perfect example of somebody who just has been in the league for a while and his name is recognized and he's going to get the opportunity because of the name. I would love to give him the benefit of the doubt for the simple fact that I like watching the guy on TV. and say, yeah, maybe he can. He was a center for a long time, playing alongside the second greatest quarterback of all time. So he knows a thing or two. Um, but the rest of this Colts season is a pretty much it's done.
This is actually a serious question. I would assume this is history. Frank Reich is the first, not Frank Reich, sorry, I wish Frank Reich. I want the Steelers to hire him as the OC. Jeff Saturday has to be the first NFL head coach with 0 pro or collegiate coaching experience. And if I'm a player on the Colts, like a veteran, a Quentin Nelson, and sure, the offensive line this year has been bad, but like Michael Pittman, all these talented players that are high pedigree and they're trying to win games, the type of message this sends is this organization clearly does not care about winning. And kind of like when the Eagles benched Jalen Hurts and went to Nate Sudfeld back in 2020, and Jalen Hurts is like, what is Doug Peterson doing? I feel you can lose your locker room. And for Indianapolis, sure, you're trying to get a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young or even a Will Levis in the draft, but I feel what this move signals is a guy in Jim Irsay who, look, I'm not the most patient person in the world. I'll be honest with you, I was pissed before because I had an audio file mess up. I'm not patient at all, so I'm like Jim Irsay. But when you're an NFL owner, I think this is one of the most reactionary things to do where, especially in today's day and age, to hire someone of Jeff Irsay's ilk where it's a white male, it's going to be a bad look for many reasons when there's qualified offensive coordinators and many other minority coaches who, look, are very deserving of opportunities. So it's a terrible look in that aspect, but just generally speaking, it sends the wrong message to your team. So I'm thoroughly disappointed.
Talk about minority coaches who don't. I don't know if he has a job right now. He might as a coordinator somewhere, but somebody who coached for the Indianapolis Colts and brought him to a Super Bowl, Mr. Jim Caldwell, who got unceremoniously kicked out the door in Detroit after making the playoffs with that team and having a positive winning record with the Detroit Lions. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten rid of Frank Reich. I would have given him one last shot with a young quarterback to see what he can do. But I agree with your points, John. This could easily lose the locker room. I mean, I know Stephon Gilmore doesn't want to be playing for a team that's not, trying to win. So yeah, this is a bad look all around, and yeah, I mean they're on to the future right now. That's really what they are. They're on to the future, I guess.
That much is for sure.
Oh yeah.
And if this quarterback they're going to draft does not hit, and the Colts went through all of this process, you fire a guy in Frank Reich you're sick and tired of. Hey, let's get Carson Wentz. Hey, let's get Matt Ryan. Hey, I'm thinking next offseason we should really go and get Derek Carr. It's like, okay, all right, enough. I really think for Jim Irsay this was reactionary. And honestly, Reich got a raw deal. Guy felt like he had 2 good seasons, his first and third in Indianapolis. His second one, Jacoby Brissett, whoever was his quarterback. The dude hasn't had a quarterback. I feel like he's done a pretty good job in spite of the constant turnstile at that position.